Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays and Tobago of this morning show. Yes, I'm back here again. I know you guys thought I left, but I'm here still. We want to continue this discussion around Tobago Day, and what other better person to have this discussion with than none other than Miss Sophia Cooper, Programs Coordinator at the Tobago Legislature. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
You are no stranger to us here at Tobago Updates. We want to get right into it. Tobago Day, why is it important at such a time like this, and what is your role in helping in and around this day?
So let me start with the history. Tobago Day on December 4th marks the day the Tobago House of Assembly was inaugurated. So we're talking about, at that time, the president was Sir Ellis Clark.
Right.
And we're talking about something so momentous. It changed how things functioned in Tobago. We're talking about the THA Act in the sense that we have the 5th schedule that gave the Tobago House of Assembly devolved powers. And interestingly, I had a conversation yesterday that the person was talking about how from 1980, that's when we started seeing Tobago registering deeds. And then I had to point out that was because the Tobago House of Assembly Act was passed in 1980. And so even seeing how we interact with Trinidad, how that affected business and everyday life, it was because of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. And we can't forget Dr. Winston Murray and Mr. A.N.R. Robinson. Dr. Murray stayed in Parliament to ensure that the bill was passed. Now, Mr. Robinson, he wanted more. And people would tell it's a watered-down version of the act. But what they did was they crafted something that could be used, and then it was modified in 1996, and we hope that that's going to again be modified recently. So the idea is to mark the inauguration of the Tobago House of Assembly. That was December 4th, 1980.
All right. And this we have heard a lot of discussions around this Act 40 of 1996, which I think came after there was an amendment, correct?
Correct.
Right.
The significant amendment is that it brought the THA Act in alignment with what democracy looks like when we talk about the Westminster model, meaning separation of powers. So when A.N.R. Robinson was there, they had a chairman. You met at the Assembly Legislature or at the High Court at that time. And then you decide your committees, what they're going to do and so on. Mr. Robinson, though, he worked within the framework of the Act, and perhaps because he was an attorney, he was able to maneuver. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, people remember him as a statesman, but his background was in law. So what he did was he took this piece of legislation and he said, I know it's not what we need, but we're going to work within the framework to create what we can. And so by 1996, what Tobago had was proof of concept. You go back to Parliament. And it's not a discussion of who, what, where, when, maybe. It was as, we're already doing this. We have proof that we can do this and that we need it. So I don't know if it's a case where we know how to prove again, within our limitations, that these are the things that would work, and then go from there.
Oh yes. And certainly we have been hearing a lot of discussions around the Tobago Autonomy Bill. How does Tobago Day and its subsequent celebrations during its period would help, foster that education to the population of Tobago?
Excellent.
Where that is concerned.
So the Tobago Day Debate, which takes place tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the Assembly Chamber, Jerningham Street. The public is invited, as always. Young people will be discussing that question. Because when the motion was first laid by then Chief Secretary over London, it was about creating an atmosphere where Tobagonians could come together. We're talking about Family Day. We're talking about meeting to have an enjoyment, to beautify your communities. Those things were stated back then. And then we had Claudia Groom-Duke, leader of Assembly Business, laying a motion to rename Assembly Day Tobago Day, so that we have a reflection of what is intended. This is not intended to be a THA event. This is intended to be a Tobago event. And that's why there is the cleanup campaign on the health. So they are going into communities. That's why we have the cookout competition. And it's not just cookout competition, it's harvest food
Yes, because
cookout.
harvest is definitely our culture.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, in the middle of that, you have some all fours, you have a triathlon. Next day, you have sports and family day, a military tattoo and Thanksgiving service on the 4th of December. So every day there's something from tomorrow to the 4th of December. And of course, culminating with the Chief Secretary Awards. So there's a lot to enjoy.
Yes.
And a
yes.
lot for people to be a part of.
Yes. I mean, we have such a limited time to unpack what, you know, the history, the significance of this day, especially where we are and our trajectory in relation to this discussion of autonomy. What is your opinion on, you know, our status now as it relates to the autonomy? Especially the discussions that was had from since 2021. What is your take on it?
I think a lot of people have different definitions of autonomy and different definitions of internal self-government. And I think that's where we need to start. So over the years, we've had a lot of conversations, a lot of committees, a lot of joint select committees from Parliament. But that's why we're having the Tobago Day debate. Because I feel like if it has to go across the board, all ages. And for us at the Assembly Legislature, we have a slogan: engage and educate at all levels. And so, for example, we're having the debate, but at the same time, we're having a vote for how the building should be expanded.
Oh, you're touching on my final question, man. Don't do me that. But it's all right. It's all right.
So we're talking about autonomy, and we're talking about Tobago's Assembly Legislature being the seat of democracy. Remember, that building was constructed in 1825. It is the oldest legislative building in the country that's still functioning. And so there's a lot of pride connected to that. But we've outgrown the space.
Yes.
And so we want people to be part of the discussion, because democracy is about people. Yes, we vote for politicians, but at the same time, we want participatory democracy, meaning members of the public must be part of this conversation.
Yes.
So we want to do something with the building, but we just don't want to put it up, because this is your building too.
You know, I want to chime in on the whole autonomy, and, you know, especially and related to the building. I long to see true Westminster. We know the true Westminster is in the UK, where it originates. You know, where we don't have to enshrine everything in our constitution to hold people to account, to have things running. We have things in the UK called the convention, which is somewhat for unwritten laws.
I totally understand what you're saying. This is the difference. When independence was crafted,
Right.
so we know Haiti fought for independence, but let's say it was crafted for some of us, right?
Yes.
It was done through something called an order in council. And so from the very beginning, the UK took the stance that these now independent former colonies would have a written way of determining how they will be designed. And so it's different, not because it isn't a true form of the Westminster model. It is
It's growing. It's getting there.
not getting there. It is what it is because it suits our period in time. Now, we didn't necessarily choose it, but it has evolved. Just like everything else in the Caribbean, you put several things in one space and it becomes something totally new. So what we have is 3 arms of government. That's a marker for the Westminster system. What we have in the Constitution is separation of powers. So that doctrine means you have the executive, in this case the Executive Council, you have the legislature, and of course we don't have control over the judiciary, but those are the 3 arms of government. And according to the Tobago House of Assembly Act, all those arms must be represented on the island. And that didn't happen before. Before the 1980 Tobago House of Assembly Act. Again, we're bringing it back to December 4th.
So, you know, we have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to be grateful for and look forward to. And you mentioned the building. Now, I saw those concept designs and I was like, we're saying something. My favorite design is I think it was the second one that was shown.
Right.
I know that the Honorable Chief Secretary and others like the first design.
Right.
But for me, I like the second one because it's glass. You know, it's more sustainable. You know, it's modern. They're all modern. But for me, my favorite.
It was the second one for you.
Yeah, my question now is, what inspired, besides the, you know, the fact that we have outgrown the space, what inspired this this idea to have these designs put forward to the space, especially at this time?
Right. So for the last 10 years consecutively, we've had the Tobago Day Debate, and part of the training students receive is the study tour. So we've visited a number of legislatures and the parliaments with devolved powers, and we see how they treat their buildings. We see that they start off with something iconic like we have, but when they expanded, they added elements of modern styles.
Yes,
Our building is made out of limestone. We have to think about resources, what is available today.
Yes.
So there's a mix between traditional and modern.
Yes.
And so people are asked to vote on what they like with this mix. Some people might say, not really. And some people might say, well, you need to go back to the drawing board, but maybe this one is nice. So check our Facebook page, check us in person.
And what is your Facebook page?
It's Tobago Legislature, Tobago House of Assembly Legislature on Facebook. Our website, tobagolegislature.org. You can come in person at the Assembly Legislature, in person at Shaw Park Complex, and put in your vote, any age.
All right. Leave it up to Ms. Cooper to give us a very concise, very detailed interview. You know, just remember to vote. This is Tobago Day, and this is for your island. So you know, please participate in the voting process. You know, and this is true democracy. I want to thank Ms. Cooper for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure. You know, this does end Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates morning show. Thank you for joining us, and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. Have a great day.